Hey, welcome to the virtual BrainTrust. I got my good friend Wynford Dore from the UK over on today. And the big thing that we're going to talk about is the cerebellum. And the reason that I'm so impressed with you, Wynford, is just the testimonies you've shown me with a lot of the kids that are getting results. And right now in this quarantine, parents don't know how to handle having the kids home. There's not a structure. Their teachers aren't with them. Can you fill us in a little bit about that? And then can we talk about your book, Stop Struggling in School?
Yeah, I feel for mums right now because suddenly they're exposed full on to their kids' struggles. I'm sure many mums are trying to teach their child and they've realized just how bad the issues are around reading and writing and concentration. So normally the teacher copes with that. Now they've got to cope with that at home and try and do some teaching. Well, there is some great news out there. There's a lot of despair and panic and fear. Wouldn't it be great to just give mum some hope that maybe your child has got some potential that nobody has ever seen? And that's what my book is all about. That's what my research is all about. So thank you for letting me share that with any chiropractors, any mums, any other medical practitioners that are listening.
And that's what I really appreciate too, because I grew up as a kid who, I was ADHD. I had a lot of learning stuff. Like I was in Montessori school, and then I was sent to regular school and then Catholic school, and so we moved around a lot. And I had a lot of different types of teaching styles, and I really feel had I had this back then, I think I could have definitely excelled more than I have. And don't get me wrong, I've been blessed and I've had a really good educational career. But I'm even now at 36, and I'm seeing benefits with your program. I'm like, holy cow, we've got to get this into more kids' hands. And so I obviously look at things from a performance perspective, right? And there's a lot of doctors out there that, they tend to say, okay, well, this is what's wrong with you, or this is what, we need to work on because you're deficient. And I'm like, okay, well, what if we say that that's a minor limitation, but if we can work together and actually make this come together in a whole in the right formula, you've got a great excelling human being, not just an athlete. Talk to us about, let's just start with Stop Struggling in School real quick. What made you want to write this book, number one? I know that there's some personal things there, and I'd love the audience to understand kind of who you are and why you're doing what you're doing, and then let's talk about the product and how that can help people in quarantine right now.
Well, I was a dad of 4 children, 3 of them learning well at school, one of them working just as hard with teachers who were trying their best, but she wasn't learning. Finally, after going right through school, she eventually became so depressed. Everything for her was hard work. Everything that for my other children was easy was hard for Susie. And finally, she got so depressed, she attempted to take her life. And that changed my life. I was a successful entrepreneur with all of the trappings, but I've got a very, very desperately unhappy daughter, which most people didn't see, but as a dad, I did see. And in the industries I was in, I was used to turning them around by having innovative ideas. And then suddenly, the day that she attempted to take her life, I realized I'd got to turn my life around and work to solve her issues. Why was it that Susie was working hard and not learning? Why was it that she was obviously intelligent, but couldn't read? So in the academic environment, she failed terribly. She was still struggling when she left school to do basic things like reading and concentration. Now, I was used to turning industries around, so I sold all my businesses and threw it at researching the brain. I knew it was somewhere in the brain. I didn't know what. And she'd been given a label. She'd been given the label dyslexia. I think today she'd have been given probably an autism, ASD, some sort of other label. But I discovered that the labels actually meant very little, because what Susie was struggling with was incompletely developed skills.
Yeah.
Now, we know that skills can be improved, but the kind of skills that she was deficit in were actually the kind of skills that weren't improving. It's just they'd hit a glass ceiling, and doesn't matter what happened, she couldn't break through that glass ceiling. I see that with children who've been diagnosed with ADHD, with dyslexia. Many of them are just struggling and never had a diagnosis. So I started partnering with some amazing professors, and we were pulling out of the woodwork all sorts of research, like beautiful pieces of jigsaw that fitted together. So all I am is a jigsaw maker. That's all I am, is putting together those pieces of jigsaw that hadn't been put together before. And the results Dr. Drake, as you know, as you've seen, are stunning. And there's more research coming out all the time, confirming what we're doing, explaining why we're doing it. So for mums, for doctors, for chiropractors, this is a great opportunity. This is a whole new sphere of opportunity to take the lid off those children who have got potential, but nobody is unearthing it. Chiropractors are beginning to right now. Mums at home are beginning to right now. And so with all the disadvantages of schools being shut, we have the advantage that there's something that warrior parents can do at home, or chiropractors can point their patients to do at home, that could make a huge difference to the rest of their academic career.
And I think a big thing too is the collaboration approach with your team. What I love is like after the assessment, they have a one-on-one to go over exactly what's going on with the results, where the limitations are, and then an actual like, tangible plan on how it's going to be corrected or how we're going to work on that. And so, you know, for me, like a lot of these kids, especially on the spectrum, or you know, with ADHD or dyslexia, excuse me, is basically they're just told, hey, this is what you got, and this is the class you come to, and this is a group you're going to be a part of, and it isolates a lot of them. And well, right now, like not only that, but a lot of these kids are learning that they have to have different communication skills because everyone's home during quarantine, and so they're overstimulated at the moment. They might be stressed out. They might not be able to handle this very well. And your program, one being kind of a gamified in a way, to where you have your exercises in the morning and the afternoon. It sets a routine. Number one, I really like, especially for kids that have that kind of a problem. Number two, they can see that they're improving. It's not just like, hey, I want you to take a little test real quick and here it is. They can physically feel, and you as a parent, and you can do this with your kids, but as a parent, you can literally see your kid improving. And so many times, parents that are going to these different, doctors for a diagnosis or during for treatment, they're just getting what they're told. They don't get to physically see it. And so one thing that I want to bring up, because I actually introduced your program to an occupational therapist yesterday. So a good friend of mine, she's an occupational therapist here in San Diego, and they had to start telemedicine. And and what's interesting is basically the point of view from hers of normally having hands-on with the parent and the athlete or the client, to now they're at home and she's having to verbalize what she needs them to do. And parents now, she's really like, it's kind of neat, because I think this is where a program like this is so perfect, because now there is that disconnection. And it's like, oh, I see this from a very different light, and the parents are starting to see it from a very different light. So I think it's a unique opportunity for one, giving a new tool for parents for their kids at home, no matter what, whether we stay in quarantine or we come out of it. But number two, that the doctor doesn't have to be physically with the patient all the time. It's like, hey, let's go ahead and test you in the office, or we can test you from home now. And then from there, here's a protocol that I can work with you. And if we need to Skype once a week to check in, I can do that.
See, well, what's been so fascinating through this whole process is that we realized early on that every brain was different. Now, chiropractors, occupational therapists realize that. They don't have one treatment that they give every patient that comes in the door. And that's extremely true, totally true for brain development, for skill development issues. So we had to create something that was totally personalized, and that's what we've done. Your occupational therapist friend would relate to this. We've had to personalize the program, where they start, how fast they progress, in what area they progress, so that the stimulations really do find all of the potential. Any one size fits all type program that's out there will not be finding all the benefit in these kids, all the potential. Now, mums are told, dads are told, oh, your child's got great potential. But until now, nobody's ever stopped and said, and this is how much potential they've got, and this is where it's hiding, and this is what you do to bring it out. Well, we're doing all those things. So the first place we start with everyone is, let's do an assessment. And people can do that at home. And if chiropractors want to set their clients up, they can do it. They can do this at home, and the chiropractors get the reports and so on. And they can see where the potential is, where the limitations in skill development are. And they always correlate with what parents want to see improved in their child, in their behavior, in their learning, in their reading, and so on. So when you do the neurological measures and identify the potential, that's a huge aha moment. And parents suddenly feel great. Oh, good night. My child isn't stupid or lazy,
Yeah.
unintelligent.
Oh, right.
There's actually a defined, measurable skill deficit that's holding them back, and that's a huge relief. And when the education system in this world has neurology within its bunch of disciplines they access, then that will be a great breakthrough moment. So we're having to bring neurology through chiropractors, through occupational therapists, and even through some psychiatrists to the mums at home.
And I think that's the thing right now, is that we, instead of separating at this moment, we need to come together. We need to collaborate. We need to be working on new programming, new ideas, because I don't, for the foreseeable future, people it's gonna change the way the practices are. Like, the thing that I'm trying to do right now is give chiros opportunities for, one, telehealth or telechiropractic or whatever we're gonna call it, and then more importantly, the other side of it too is like, how can we make you successful during these uncertain times? Like, you have a great skill set as a chiropractor and a PT and an OT and anything else. Like, you've got knowledge that a lot of doctors don't have. And the cool thing is that you get to see your patient on a regular basis. They're already used to seeing you. So if we can set these opportunities up, and then we can have a group webinar that we can set up for the clients to go over. And then now you can actually be working with your patient, whether they're in the practice or not. So I just think it's a really great opportunity and a great tool. And I think so let's just talk about, for business side of it for them, right? Like, obviously, like, if you're a patient and, you're at home right now and you've got kids that are all over the place and you're thinking, man, I would love a program for my kid during this time to, one, make sure that they come out of this healthier and happier and more, obviously improved. Or if you're a doc, watching this and you're like, hey, you know what? I'm looking for something to put in my practice that's, one, digital, that's, two, it's effective, and it's objective. So there's objective testing that we can actually see pre and post. I think there's an opportunity here with Zinc Performance. So with that, like, how do you want them to reach out? Do you want them to reach out to you, or do you want them to reach out to me, like to both of us? Like,
whatever is easiest for them. If they reach out to me, they can just use my email address, wynford@zingperformance.com. That gets to me. If they come to you, we'll make sure that they're looked after. The first thing we'll do is we'll give them access to some short training videos that explain the science. DCs, OTs will love and relate to what we're saying. Wherever I go in America, they always dig me out and they find me because they get the research we're doing. It links to the cerebellum, it links to skill development, it links to the vagus nerve. It all fits together, so it really makes sense to those natural therapists. Contact us. We've got training videos. We've got a package so that you obviously you get paid for any assessments that are done, any coaching or connection that you do. There's a commercial package there that makes it very worthwhile, and also you're kept totally in the loop. You're told how much compliance your clients have got, your patients have got, what their progress is, so you can ring them up and congratulate them or encourage them to do a bit more, whatever it is. You're kept totally involved. You get the kudos, rightly so, because you have been instrumental in introducing them, and we do everything else. We provide all of the neurological assessments. We bring the exercise programs through an app that's on their smartphone or laptop. We give all of the avatars to make it easy for them to follow. We get all the feedback, and every day we use artificial intelligence to adjust their program. Where do they need stimulation tomorrow? How much stimulation do they need? What coordination activity do they need to continually increase the density of gray matter in the cerebellum? Because that's what makes the lasting change. So we do an awful lot. You do your bit, but even from home, you could be introducing a lot of your patients to this, doing them some good.
No, I think that's great. All right, perfect. So what I'll do is I'll put the email at the bottom, and then I'm also going to do a couple of Facebook Lives of me doing the exercises on Zing with you, Wynford. And then the other side of it too is like, we're going to be opening up more. Obviously, we're going to have a webinar that we're going to talk about Zing Performance. We're going to invite, chiros that are watching. Jim Chester's hopefully going to get a chance to, interview Wynford. And Wynford's a huge proponent of chiropractic, which I love. And so he's going to be working with the Lions and Connor Ward on actually giving some free CE to the docs right now, since they're stuck in quarantine over there as well. So Wynford, thank you for giving your time so much to the profession. Thanks for giving time to me this morning. And then I'm looking forward to getting this in the hands of way more kids, because that's our mission, is to make sure that next generation is healthy and happy and that they're growing and thriving. So thank you.
Absolutely. Well, I wish the best to all those chiropractors working from home. It's difficult times for them. I'm hoping this will be the start of a wonderful partnership between us and them. Thank you so much, Dr. Drake.
Yes, sir. Talk to you soon, brother.